Well, good morning. I'd like to welcome you to Wyndham Bible Church. We're going to start with a video. This is our missions conference month, and now we are at the beginning of our missions conference week. And in your bulletin, you will find a schedule for meals and services and things of that nature that we'd love to have you sign up for and come on in. But we're here to focus on Jesus. And this is all about reaching the hard places. So let's go with the video.
What was I so afraid of? Have you ever asked yourself that question? I think all of us have probably struggled with fear at some point in our lives. I know that I have. From the time I was a small child, I have struggled with fear. My name is Kara, and I serve in the beautiful country of Indonesia. When I first heard the theme for this year, Now to the Hard Places, part of me was, ooh, that's exciting. The other part was, that's scary. And I felt fear and a little bit of nervousness. What is God going to call me to do? I thought, this is already so hard now as it is. I'm not sure if I want to go to a place that's even harder. Many times in my life, my feet have been fueled by fear. I remember a time, it was the summer of 2006. I had just finished my sophomore year at Toccoa Falls College. I had already been called into missions and was a part of the missions program there. It was a summer, and my family and I were visiting our family up in central New York. And we were visiting my aunt and uncle who had a farm. Cows, chickens, goats, pigs, and they had one horse. I loved horses. I dreamed about horses when I was a little girl. I read books about horses, and so I wanted to go see that horse. Well, they had built a corral at the end of this dirt road that led off into the woods, and so I grabbed my 17-year-old sister to go along with me. So we walked down that dirt road, riddled with mud puddles from a recent rain, back into the woods where they had a clearing where they had made the corral for their horse. And we stood there with our elbows on those wood posts, just looking at the horse. Well, it wasn't a very exciting horse. It didn't really do anything amazing. It just stood there. And so we quickly became bored. And so I started looking around at what was around the corral and saw that the dirt road went into a little path inside the woods. And so I remembered, these are the woods that my grandma always used to pick her blueberries to make her famous blueberry pies. And so I thought, I wonder if there's any blueberries there right now. So I walked into the woods, and at the beginning of the woods, there weren't any blueberries, and so I went a little bit farther. And the brush was thick, but I still didn't see any blueberries, so I walked in even farther. And at that moment, I don't know why I thought of this, but a thought popped into my head that bears also liked blueberries. And I knew that there were plenty of black bears in New York. And so as I went farther into the woods, I became increasingly nervous and increasingly afraid. Not 1 second after I had that thought, I heard a rustling off to the right. And I looked over, and about 10 feet away was a huge black animal in the bush. It was a bear. And so I just froze, and I thought in my head, don't run. Bears will chase you if you run. So I just stood still, hardly breathing, and then my sister's coming up behind me rather noisily. I thought, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? But then I thought, well, the bear hasn't seen us yet, so maybe we can still get away. So my sister had come up, so I grabbed her arm and I whispered, Hannah, run. And then I just shot off back down the path, running as fast as I could go, jumping over those mud puddles like an Olympic runner clearing hurdles, although not very gracefully. Ran all the way back to the house. My sister was running behind me a lot slower than I was, with her hands up in the air, and why are we running? She hadn't seen the bear, of course. But we finally made it back to the house. I was out of breath. She caught up with me, and she asked, Kara, why in the world are you running? Why are we running? And I said, Hannah, there was a bear in the woods. facial expression quickly changed, and she said, "Ugh, Kara, that wasn't a bear, that was a cow." I was adamant, "No, it was a bear, I saw it." And she said, "Did you really see it? Because I saw its head, and it was definitely a cow." Well, I felt very stupid. What was I so afraid of? It was just a cow. So why did I run away from that bear or that cow in the first place? Well, I really did believe that it was a bear. Why did I believe that? It was because the fear in my heart was actually impacting and influencing what I thought I was seeing. And I think many times in our lives, fear does that exact same thing. In our lives and in ministry, fear can impact and influence how we see the reality in front of us. And then fear can then impact and influence the actions that we take as a response. So in my case with the bear, the fear fueled my feet to action, and I ran away. As we think about this theme, now to the hard places, I don't want my feet to be fueled by fear. I want my feet to be fueled by faith. I do want to go to the hard places. Why? Because Jesus is worth it. If you agree with that, and if you said amen to that, because Jesus is worth it, then I want to ask you a question. Will you support us and will you partner with us to go to those hard places, to reach people for the kingdom of Christ? Because Jesus is worth it. But I also want you to think about your own lives, your own ministry, your own context, where you work. Where might God be calling you to go to a hard place? Don't let your feet be fueled by fear, but let your feet be fueled by faith.
As I was watching the video, it reminded me of a story from the book of, I believe it's 1 Kings. There was a prophet and there was a prophet's servant. And the prophet's servant saw the enemies coming against them. But the prophet, he saw God's army surrounding them. What do you see? What are you afraid of? This morning, I'd like to ask you to open the bulletins. And you'll notice 2 flyers in there. They've been in there 3 weeks. This is the last week that they're in there. It's to the hard places. And we're going to have with us this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday an older man who Diane and I went with him and his wife to France to learn the French language. And he has been to several different countries. You'll find his story quite interesting, I believe. He has been to Indians here in America. He has been to the country of Burkina Faso. And then he moved back to France because of some health conditions. But he continued to pursue lost people wherever he went. With the strength that he had and the wisdom and the abilities that he had, he gave them to Jesus. I think you'll enjoy Wyman. You'll notice there is a sign-up sheet for a pizza if you would like to come on Friday. If you have allergies to some of these things, to some of the foods, let us know what they are. We will make accommodations. We will provide food for you these 3 meals. Friday evening it's pizza, and there will be salad. Saturday there's breakfast, and there will be sausage casserole and other things. I think Diane's making some muffins because of a allergy that Wyman has. And then Saturday there's going to be a French soirée. That is just an evening, a French evening of eating in different courses of meals. So put your name on that, put the number of people that will be coming with you so that if your spouse fills one out too, that we don't count both of them, and we get pretty close to the right amount of food that we have. I would also like you to note on the back of the bulletin that there is a, maybe it's not included on there. I thought I had it changed. But there is an elders meeting on Thursday at 9 o'clock. And if you have things that the elders need to discuss, feel free to come. There's a men's Bible study at 10 a.m. on Thursday, and the ladies' Bible study is this week on Tuesday at 1:30. That's a Bible study and prayer time. And all the ladies are welcome to come and even bring a friend. The rest of the details on the back have to do with the missions conference, so please read those. And there is a missions question of the week. What area of France did the Nelsons move to this past year? Well, why do you move to a new location just when you're getting ready to leave? Because they will retire in June, so that was their last year in the field of France. Maybe that would be a question that you would want to ask Wyman when he's here. Think about questions that you would ask from the country of France so that when he's here, it'll give you a basis you can ask him about family, you can ask him about history, you can ask him about people coming to Christ. You can ask him about the Wins. The Wins, you will remember, are our adopted family, and they serve in France. Something that we have been leaving until now, I hope that you've been praying about it, is we were just asked in the video, will you pray for, will you support the work in the hard places? And we have this morning pledge cards, and I'm going to ask Joe if you'd come up and pass these out. There should be one for at least every family, probably every person. And what a pledge card is, and I will explain it as you're passing them out. When you get it, you can open it up, and we call it a pledge card, but we also call it a faith promise card. And if you will take this and you will ask God, God, what do you want me to do for getting the good news of Jesus